Greetings, travelers, and welcome back to another new tutorial on Better Questing, or I should say Better Questing 2. Now, the previous episodes covered the basics, getting started, and showing you how to move around and do things. Today's episode, which should be, unless I get a number of requests for specific features, this is going to cover not so much in a tutorial base as it is to point out some of the ways that I have. There's only 11 blocks away from where I'm at. That's annoying. Anyway, point out some of the ways that some of the functions we had. I'm going to introduce one of the other submodules for Better Questing. This is a custom NPCs integration. As you can see here, I have my sidekick Bob with me. He's actually here because we are in my dev world for Tolkiencraft 3, and he just happens to be the guy that I test on and with while I'm doing things. This room here that you see is my hidden testing room, so that I can kind of plan out some things. There are chests of the various items that I need throughout the course of my dev work. They're all tied and protected to me, so that way I can access them, and anybody that plays the map and I've forgotten I left them in can't get to them. So that said, we're going to start with the quest book, which is here. Now, one of the most common things I got asked was about changing the graphic here, which you can see I have. Now, earlier versions of Better Questing, which we're not covering in detail, you did this through the config. Funway actually changed it, though, that you now do that through here, where you've kind of briefly seen it. But you'll see how I have the image path, where it shows, in this case, Tolkiencraft, textures, GUI, main title, ping. I'll be honest with the outset, I'm not entirely 100% sure on the use of this, but I'm going to show you what I've done with my image, and if you follow what I've done, that will ensure that the image that you have will work properly. So what I'm going to do here, because this is something I can't show you entirely through recording while I'm in game, is I will be right back, because I'm going to show you this using the screen capture so you can see, one, how the path works, and two, the size and format of the image. So I will be right back. Welcome back. So we have here, you can see in the screen the directory. The exact path is going to be different based on how you're installing your mod pack. So the part leading up to Minecraft, not important. What is important is that where we need to go next is going to be the config directory. And then you're going to go to Better Questing. Now in here, you're going to see, this is where the quest database is, which we've shown in an earlier episode. And resources, this is where the images you're going to use for Better Questing are going to go. So in this case, we have, if you remember from the previous, it had Tolkiencraft : Tolkiencraft refers to the actual directory it's in within resources, and that's important. It could be any name, but you got to remember that name. And then inside, textures, and then I have a couple of different things because I'm using different textures throughout the interface. But GUI, and then there's main title. So the main title, if you look at the pop-up, there is the size of the image, so 1398 by 1273. That's important to get it to look like it does in the book. The actual image itself, and we'll see if I can get this to come in. Alright, and you'll see that it's actually half of it is the image, the other half is just empty. That's pretty much what the offset is. Its offset is an XYZ offset, or X offset. So basically half, in this case it was easier, instead of having to fiddle with it for the calculation, I just half of the image is this, the other half is whatever's down here. So if you do the offset 500 and minus 500, that means you're only going to show what's up here, not down here, and then this gets resized to fix the menu. So it's very important to make sure that your image is sized like I said, and that it is formatted where half of that size is the actual picture, the other half is nothing. So that's the part here. So this is basically what's called the domain, which is Tolkiencraft, and then everything's inside there. So that's the important part for getting the image. And any image you use in Better Questing, you're going to want to put in here. Now, beyond that, you can put them in whatever folder you want, anywhere you want. Just remember that after this, whatever the path is what you need to enter for the image. So let me go back in the game and we'll continue showing it off. Okay, so now we're back. So just to kind of reinforce, oh, I guess it helps me if I get out of there. And okay, there we go. So if we go back into here, so again, Tolkiencraft textures, GUI, main title image. Notice that I've got the slashes backwards. Windows tends to put them forwards. Does make a difference, so make sure you're doing that. The rest of these settings are like if you're going to have this as a hardcore mode, here's the maximum number of lives and stuff. These all relate to the image. And again, the 500 being half of the image. If you guys want to fiddle with it beyond that, that's fine. An easy way to turn on and off edit mode, but keep in mind if you turn this off, that this goes away. Now, quest-wise, some of the other things you can do. What he's added to this is the ability to put images on each chapter. Yes, I have a lot of chapters here, and there are actually going to be a lot more, but the point is, so like here I've got, for the main quest, they're all using this background. So if we go to Edit, and select on it, and Designer, and we go to Edit Raw, we go to Properties, and you'll see there it is again, Textures, GUI, Blank, ME Map, Ping. That way, again, keep in mind the path for the image, and you can, and the background size is how big the image is going to be in the background. You can also kind of manually edit in the text editor for the different things if you want. Back here, so if any bigger than 512 and this image tends to go off the screen, so I did 512 just so that it fit nicely. Go back here, but you see like here I've got a different image entirely. This one is actually a map of vanilla. This is actually bigger, so you actually have to scroll it. I'll show you right here. That one's 1024, and you can see how it goes back and forth on the screen because it always pins to here, but it goes back and forth, so you can scroll, but it gets rather unruly, so you want to try to avoid doing that as much as possible. All the way back out, keep going. Oh, I gotta hit done, not edit. There we go. Alright, then scholars, I've got yet another image, and then factions, yet another image. So some of the key things I've done with some of these quests to show you. Now with custom NPCs, one of the nicest things about it that I like is the fact that, you know, there's a location task, by the way. I've showed you those, but now you can see where I've given it a name. It's got specific location, how far you are, what dimension it's in, whether you found it or not. I think it goes really well, and I've been working on him to try and put some kind of integration with the journey map so that there would be, this would either be like a link or a button, and it would generate the link for you to add as a waypoint. But here you have a dialogue task, which is a custom NPC integration, and you put the dialogue number and it'll pop up what's in that dialogue, so you can kind of give players an indication of the specific dialogue. There's also the, let's see, go quests. Oh, I got dialogues in here. Let's go here. Dialogue. I gotta find, there's so many in here. Oh. There we go, quest task. This will show the name of the quest, whether it's complete or not, and it actually gives you whatever the quest dialogue is what will display here. So, it gives you some added effect. To give you some other stuff, we'll go, since I'm working on this one. There we go. We'll go edit, and we'll go tasks. So you've got, for custom NPCs, you've got the NPC task, NPC faction task, and NPC dialogue. So, and that's what I've done here, is use the faction task, so that based on your faction level, it will complete a quest, and that way you can unlock stuff based on the faction. I've done scoreboard quests, and I'll show you some of those. So the scoreboard quests, I have a scoreboard in that will, let's see, right here. I think it's this one. Nope, not that one. It's this one and this one. So I've got scoreboards, so at certain points of the quest, you'll do whatever it is. And it doesn't outright tell you. It's just most of the scoreboards I use are hidden in the background. But basically here, you hold the barrel. After you've done it the number of times, you get the score and you complete the quest. One of the other things I've done is, this is the command block, which we've shown. But if you look at the rewards, I've got 3, because this works just like a command block. So, and they fire in the order in the list. So using that, I've created what does a title, and it does it to the player, and it gets it set up. And then of course the next step is setting up for the subtitle, and then the next one is for the actual player. That way, when, in the case of how I've done it on this book, is as they complete the previous prerequisites, this gets triggered, and on the screen it basically announces that they're starting the next chapter. It's kind of like a nice little aesthetic feature. Now, being that we're in edit mode, we can see all the quests, but all of these are all hidden, and they're set to help trigger. As you can see with the links will trigger upon completion other items. In the case of this one, it fires off and adds using commands. Oh, I go here, rewards, that's what I went. It starts specific quests, so that way in the event of reading a dialogue with an NPC, one of the limitations of custom NPCs in particular is you can only start one quest per dialogue. There are uses for that, but in this case, I preferred to have, I've got one main quest, but I wanted the player to complete 3 other NPC quests, so I use this as a hidden reward that then triggers those 3 quests for the players so that they have them in their quest log and can complete them as well. The dialogues and everything is just to help kind of gate things behind talking to NPCs, questing. I'm using the Better Questing book almost as a journal, so that way that players can keep better track of where they're at, where they need to go. So as long as they're doing both, they'll keep track, and it's set up in a way that if they get too far ahead in the quest book, they can't progress with the NPCs. And vice versa, because the quest book does trigger a lot of stuff for the NPCs, so that way it kind of forces players to get in the habit of using both during the part of the questing. And as a result, too, I've used some of these so that, the NPC rewards, you have an either all or random for the rewards. So what I've done on that is, if it's a repeatable quest, the random reward works fine. But if I have a standard quest one time, I'll have a standard reward, and then I'll use this triggered by the completion of that quest to get the, choose rewards. Let's see if I have one real close here I can show. I probably don't have one here. Let's go into, let's try this one. Yeah, so right here, they get to choose one of the items that they want as reward for completing the steps, which includes the quest itself. So it really helps. Now to show you, I'll actually show you on this one. So the tasks, NPC tasks. The thing to keep in mind when you're doing custom NPCs is keep an eye on what the ID number is. Now if you are not familiar with custom NPCs, let me get out of here. And we'll do this. So if you do dialogues, each dialogue or quest, it works for both, will have an ID number. That's how custom NPCs keeps track of everything. That's the ID number that you'll use, whether it's a dialogue or quest, in better questing. For faction, it's going to be similar. You need the faction ID, which is always going to be right here. Alright. I can't do first person. Anyway, so that should, I think, covers the graphics. That covers some of the custom NPC integration. I think that's going to be pretty much it as far as showing you some of the aesthetics. Like I said, just remember that the command block reward, that one can be very powerful when you use it, because it literally will trigger as if a command block was in the world. But instead of having to set up fancy clocks and timers to make it work, you have the ability to have the quest book act as the redstone trigger. And that works great for something that you want specific to that player at a specific time, rather than have a timer run that does it all the time. And I've got my fair share of these too. But, if you're trying to make a adventure / mod pack, this is not always going to be the best method, because it's going to run whether they are triggered, whether it triggers or not. Whereas the quest book, it's a one and done. It's not going to, it won't run consistently until it's triggered, and then it's triggered, it runs, and then it's done, and then we're good. But the dialogues and NPCs, using those in conjunction with better questing, I think can really make for a very interactive mod pack beyond, just normally using. Now, of course, I get it. There's a lot of, the big thing is using like skyblock maps and maps like Age of Engineering. Very excellent packs in their own right. This is just one other method for creating a mod pack. I'll be honest, it's very work intensive. So I think that's going to be it for this episode. If I get any more requests for specific things, I may put out updates as far as what the requests are for explanation of features or how-tos. But keep in mind, as I've been saying throughout this, Better Questing 2, with the information in the description, that Funway is working on an update for 1.12, and it's going to be Better Questing 3. It is completely going to remake how this mod functions. So beyond 1.10, good chance that most of these tutorials will not work. Because of how dramatically different it's going to be when he does his next version of the mod. But as always, thank you guys for coming by and watching. Don't forget the social media links in the description. I'm always on Discord. Even if I'm not always active, I will see and respond usually pretty quickly. Man does have to sleep, mind you. If you like what I do and you like what I've been doing, please check out my Patreon page. All those links in the description. But otherwise, thank you guys for coming by. Hope you have a great day.